What if I told you that what sets apart good artists from the really great ones is the fact that the really great ones don't work as much? I've been lucky enough to be a working artist for the entirety of my adult life. I've had the privilege of working on some pretty big shows over the last 6-7 years as a storyboard artist, and I'm here to tell you that I don't actually draw all that much outside of my job. And that's true for a lot of veteran artists that I've worked with. Like, these people have been doing the whole drawing thing longer than I've been alive, and yet when they're off the clock, they don't even touch a pencil. Like, they just do other things with their time, and then they just come to work and blow everyone out of the water. It's crazy. So in this video, I'm gonna explain to you why drawing less is actually the best thing that you could do for your art. I know what you're thinking. I'm not gonna tell you to slack off, obviously. You still need to put in those reps, those 10,000 hours to be really good at whatever your chosen craft is. The point of this video is that the time that you spend away from your creative practice is actually really, really crucial. You have to spend it wisely. The time that you spend just living your life and doing all of your little errands and playing with your dog or hanging out with people that you love, like whatever it is that you do, all of that informs your own art practice, and it's absolutely crucial. Before I get further into the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot with the algorithm. Also, if you're interested in learning art or animation, I have a Discord server that I run where I do weekly streams, I do drawovers, and I also do personalized one-on-one mentorship. Link will be in the description box down below. First, I want to talk about how important it is to live your life instead of just working all the time. And I'm gonna use the Japanese as an example. The Japanese, known for their work ethic, it's not really a secret. It extends to the anime industry as well. I'm sure you've seen all of those harrowing stories of artists working in the anime industry, pulling all-nighters, working crazy amounts of overtime that they're not paid extra for, sleeping under their desks for weeks and months on end. It's no joke. It's a really tough work environment. Even Hayao Miyazaki, the founder of Studio Ghibli, one of the greatest living directors of all time, probably fits that bill. If you've seen that documentary that came out on HBO Max at some point last year, he really does seem like quite a workaholic. He seems like the type to bury his nose in his work for months and years on end and ignoring all other obligations to the point where it strains his relationship with his family members, like his own son. He's intense. He seems really, really tough and really passionate about his craft. That said, Miyazaki himself gets his best ideas on vacation. In many interviews, he's talked about how he used to rent mountain cabins with his family and his friends' families. He would notice how his friends' teenage daughters would read a lot of shoujo manga. If you know anything about anime, you know exactly where I'm going with the story. He noticed how the shoujo manga that his friends' daughters would read revolved around romance and crushes and not really much else of substance. He wanted his friends' daughters to have better role models to look up to and not just read shoujo manga and be obsessed with boys all the time, I guess. And that's how Spirited Away was born. So if Miyazaki can go on vacation, so can you. That's all to say, good art doesn't just come from constant work. It comes from your own lived experiences, your emotions, the people around you, and just everything that you're exposed to on a day-to-day basis. Even all of these artists that seem like they work non-stop, like Miyazaki, are constantly soaking up inspiration as it comes to them. We've all seen those 24-hour comics that go around every year on the 1st of February. Now, I love those comics. I know you love those comics. There's something so charming and refreshing about artists capturing their mundane day-to-day life in their own style, in their own vision. And there's something so relatable about seeing all of these people that you followed and got to know for a long time just having the same morning routine as you, or spending hours cleaning and doing chores just like you do. There's something very intimate and very grounding about them. That said, can you imagine how boring Instagram would be if every single comic you saw was just artists drawing themselves hunched over at their desks day in and day out? That would get boring and repetitive real fast. When I was in art school, the pieces that stood out the most in in my storyboarding and my animation classes were the ones where my classmates were able to take their own life experiences and express them in some sort of visual fashion. The work that felt the most meaningful and raw and powerful was the work that came from a place of first-hand knowledge and inspiration. So just go live your life, do your thing, go walk your dog, I don't care. Just do something that's not involving a screen or a canvas, and I promise you eventually your art is going to be better off for it. That leads me to my next point, which is knowing how to see is just as important as knowing how to draw or how to create something. This is where inspiration is not just something that's nice to have, but something that is absolutely vital to your creative process. I was working on a Lego show a few years ago, and I was taking a stab at storyboarding this one scene that I was given. My director looked at it a few days later, and he just sat me down and asked me how often I watch films. And I was a little bit taken aback by it. I was just like, what does this have to do with my storyboards? And he pointed out how there was nothing really inherently wrong with my storyboards. Like, everything was there, but nothing felt inspired. Nothing felt captivating or engaging in any way. And he told me to just watch way more films and way more TV shows so that I actually have a visual library to be able to pull from when I'm given an assignment to visualize something from the script. This director's advice really stuck with me because I was just sitting there like having an identity crisis, and then at the same time I'm like, wait, why did I even become a storyboard artist to begin with? It's because I like films. It's because I like TV. I like visual storytelling. So why did I, as a professional who makes a living doing this, all of a sudden just stop soaking in that inspiration? Drawing isn't just about how well you can pull something from your own imagination. It's about how well you see, how well you interpret the world around you, and how well you're able to translate that into something visual, into something tangible. And it's not just about filmmaking, right? Like, it's also about just the way the light hits a certain object, or the texture of a surface, or like the subtle gradations in shadows and highlights if you're painting. Knowing to observe all those things is just as important as mastering the technique. If you're enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to like and subscribe. With a lot of my beginner storyboarding students, I just tell them to absorb as many films as they can. It's not even about actually being able to do storyboards. It's about knowing what it is that you're trying to recreate. It is equal parts input and output. So watching films and reading novels is just as crucial to your creative process. Also wanted to shout out one of my favorite YouTube channels while I'm on the topic. Not that they need it considering they have a massive following. I love Every Frame of Painting, and at least once a year I will go through and binge watch all of their videos. The reason I like Every Frame of Painting is not just because it's like a film review channel where the reviewer breaks down the content of a film from the point of view of a consumer, someone that's taking in the story and analyzing and breaking it down. Every Frame of Painting breaks down film form, how the films are actually made, what visual techniques they're using, what they're showing on screen versus what they're not showing on screen, how they're cutting, where they're cutting, the sound design that they choose. You don't want to just sit there and take in inspiration and then not think critically about it. You need to be able to figure out what it is that inspires you and why it inspires you. So yeah, watch video essays on film form. That's all I got. I'm gonna take a quick break to plug my ADHD coaching program real quick. If you're like me and you have ADHD, you probably struggle with things like being able to focus on your work, starting new projects before you've had a chance to finish old ones, staying motivated, and feeling overwhelmed with all of the different things that you want to do as an artist. I've designed an ADHD coaching program specifically for people like us. It is the exact kind of program that I needed when I was starting out as an artist, so if you're interested, I have individual and group coaching sessions available. It's not a course or a lecture or therapy, it's coaching, and it's actually a ton of fun. So if you're interested, the link is going to be in the description box down below. Okay, back to the video. My final point is about how important it is to just take a break and recharge. Creativity is not something that's like a bottomless pit, you know? Like, it ebbs and flows. We have art block, we have days where we're super inspired. It happens. So, you know, take a step back, go walk your dog, go on that vacation that you've always been wanting to go on. Just take a step back from whatever it is that you do, and I promise you your art is going to be better off for it. The less you work, the more you live, and the more you live, the better your work is going to be by the end of it. Thanks for watching. If you want to hear more creative insights or animation industry rants, commentary, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!